Greetings, and thank you for this kind invitation to say a few words at the start of this important event. And I'm delighted that climate change is receiving such prominent attention at this year's World Applied Anthropology Congress. Now, it's often thought that the IPCC, the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, is all about physical climate science, but that's not the case. IPCC's role is to assess the scientific, technical, and socio-economic information relevant to understanding the risks of human-induced climate change and options for adaptation and mitigation. And let me say at the start, when IPCC refers to science, it means science in its broadest sense, not restricted just to the physical sciences. Human factors are deeply embedded in our working groups on impacts, adaptation and vulnerability, and climate mitigation or emissions reduction. Social scientists, including anthropologists, are more than welcome. Working Group 3 on mitigation has a fully qualified cultural anthropologist as one of its vice chairs. And in the last IPCC cycle, which concluded in 2023, Working Group 3 included a chapter on demand, services, and social aspects of mitigation, which intentionally went beyond purely technological solutions to climate change. And I might add that anthropologists, led by Jesse O'Reilly of Indiana University, have been embedded in IPCC and have studied and published their findings on IPCC's workings as a unique cultural phenomenon. So how can social scientists in general and anthropologists in particular engage with IPCC? Now, let me say provocatively that IPCC likes social scientists more than social scientists like IPCC. IPCC doesn't conduct its own research. It assesses published work, currently 5,000 new articles per month globally. And the careers of many physical scientists are tied up with the progress of IPCC assessments. They publish in order to be cited by IPCC and compete to be recruited as authors. However, for many social scientists, climate change lies at the edge of their disciplines. They don't get the same career rewards from participation in IPCC. And frankly, we struggle to attract as many top-notch social scientists as we would like. So let's ask, what can an anthropologist do for IPCC, not just what IPCC can do for anthropology? So, how can you engage? First of all, by putting yourself forward as authors. The published outlines of the IPCC reports for the 7th cycle provide ample opportunities for social scientists. There are multiple mentions of community-based responses, Indigenous peoples, and diverse knowledge systems. Now, I'm afraid that the window for nominations to participate as an author in the 7th cycle closed earlier this year in April, but there's still a chance to act as contributing authors in support of lead author teams and as reviewers. Our reports are freely open for review, and all reviewers will be acknowledged in the final reports. And of course, please publish. IPCC's job is to assess, and mainly, I will get onto that, assess the scholarly literature, and we can only cite what's in the public domain. And given the current volume of publication, we would particularly welcome synthesis and review papers which lighten the assessment load. Now, one other aspect of IPCC's work is relevant. Our sister assessment panel, the Intergovernmental Science Policy Platform on Biodiversity and Ecosystem Services, or IPBES for short, has made progress in bringing Indigenous knowledge within the scope of its work to complement the assessment of published scientific literature. IPCC and IPBES share scientific communities, and the scientific leaderships of the two panels exchange insights about best assessment practices, such as on glossaries or Indigenous knowledge. And IPCC will be running a workshop later in 2025, which will address how it can engage with diverse knowledge systems, including Indigenous knowledge, local knowledge, and practitioner knowledge. And this is intended to generate recommendations for IPCC itself, for scientific communities, including anthropologists, and for funding bodies. And in addition, an expert meeting on gender, inclusion and diversity will address how members of Indigenous peoples groups can become more directly engaged in IPCC's work. So I hope I've demonstrated to you that IPCC is already open to the social scientists in general and anthropologists in particular. But as I have emphasized, it's a two-way street. We need social scientists to put themselves forward to participate in IPCC's work. And this Congress, with its focus on climate change, is an important step forward. I'm sorry not to be with you in person, but I wish you well in your deliberations and sincerely hope that it leads to more participation from anthropologists in IPCC's work. Thank you.